In today's video, we are making cookie bars. 3 recipes from the Betty Crocker cookie book. My mom has this cookie book, and growing up, we would only get this out at Christmas time and make cookies from it. And sadly, I can't remember what she even made out of this book. But we're gonna try some new recipes today, and let me know if you have this book and which is your favorite recipe. One of the main reasons as a little girl, I love looking at this book. Look at all the pictures in it. Now you can see most of the cookies are already displayed. I think it's a nice book just to even just look at on a Sunday afternoon. And I always ask my mom, when can we make these? I don't remember what she would say, but I think my mom didn't have the patience for those because they were work. But that was something I've always wanted to try. Our first recipe can be found on page 13, and we're going to do the lemon squares. For the bottom crust, we're going to need a cup of all-purpose flour, a stick of butter, and a 1/4 cup of confectioner's sugar. 2 eggs, 1 cup of granulated sugar, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So we're going to use the real thing today. So we're going to add our stick of butter, 1/4 cup of powdered sugar. So the book says to measure flour by dipping method, which is basically spooning it in, then leveling it off, or you can sift it, then measure. So we're going to do it this way because you don't want your flour packed in. I'm going to use my offset spatula and level it off. Then we're going to add that to the bowl. My butter is up to room temperature softened. I assume from the recipe that it should be softened before we start. I'm going to use my hand mixer and we're going to beat it thoroughly. This is going to take you maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and we're going for the pie crust look. The butter crumbled through. So then we're going to press this into the bottom of an 8x8x2 pan with just our fingers and maybe a rim of a glass. And make sure you get it even on the bottom. I think this will be easy. Just a small little fruit cup. And at this moment you want to preheat your oven to 350. We're going to bake this in a 350 degree oven for 20 minutes. Now don't throw these peels away. If you soak them in vinegar and let them sit in there for 3 to 4 months, you'll have a great cleanser for cleaning your counters. And we got our 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. First we'll add our 2 eggs, our 1 cup of sugar, our 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, our 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder, and our 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we're just going to whisk this together. We just pulled this out of the oven, and we're going to pour our filling on top. I'm trying to be like Folgers, good to the last drop here. We're trying to get every bit in there, as the old commercial would say. Now we're going to pop this back in the oven for another 20 to 25 minutes, and the recipe says do not over bake. I'm going to go for 23 minutes. Like I make a lemon sponge pie, it'll be puffed up in the beginning, then as it cools, it will gradually go down. And you have to let them cool completely before cutting into them. It's already been 5 minutes and it's definitely deflated some. Next we're going to try the chocolate chip bars on page 71. To make chocolate chip bars, we need 1/3 cup of shortening, 1 1/4 cup of brown sugar that's packed, 2 eggs, 1 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, 1 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/2 cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and 1/2 cup of coarsely broken up walnuts. You can use self-rising flour, just omit the baking powder and the salt. I'm going to crack my eggs in first. Then add the brown sugar and our shortening. This recipe is really simple, and I think most people can manage to do this. Now, cookies are great for this holiday season, but I'm learning that bars save you time because you don't have to portion them out. Only when you cut into them. You can easily put these on cookie trays for that holiday party. Then we're going to set this aside and mix our dry ingredients together. Our flour, our salt, and our baking powder. Then we're going to mix this well. Then we're going to add our dry to our wet. And if you have your ingredients set out before you even start, it'd probably take you less than 3 minutes to put these together. Now the recipe calls for a 9 by 9 by 1 3/4 size pan, but I don't have such a size pan. So we're going to do a 11 by 7, which is almost the same yield. So when you have your batter well incorporated, that's when you fold in your nuts and your chocolate chips. And we're going to mix well to combine. Then we're going to grease our pan and get them in the oven. I'm using lard. And we're just going to dump it into our pan. So then we're going to spread it to all sides. Then into our preheated 350-degree oven, we're going to bake these 30 to 35 minutes. And we want to check it for doneness. That is nice. You don't want to overbake that. I'm going to let this cool. They're pretty good, a little warm. Let me tell you, ask me how I know. Now we're going to make cherry coconut bars. That can be found on page 41. For the base, we're going to use a cup of all-purpose flour, a stick of butter or a half a cup, and 3 tablespoons of confectioner's sugar. For the topping, we're going to use a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour, a half a teaspoon of baking powder, a 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, 2 eggs slightly beaten, 1 cup of granulated sugar, 1/2 cup of quartered maraschino cherries, a half a cup of coconut, and 3/4 of a cup of chopped nuts. We're going to add our flour and our sugar and our butter to the bowl. I think I'm going to slice this up so it's easier to handle and get it incorporated. Then we'll add that to the bowl. The recipe says by hand to mix this together, so I'm using my pastry cutter to incorporate the butter with the sugar and the flour, just like you would pie crust. The directions do not say anything about grease in it, but you know, when in doubt, I say grease, because you never know if it's going to come out of the pan or not the first time you make them. And just like how we did the crust with the lemon square bars, we're going to do the same with the cherry coconut bars. We're just going to put our crust in the bottom and press it firmly. We're going to bake this for 25 minutes at 350. So we're going to add our flour and our sugar, our salt, baking powder, and our vanilla. I think this would be amazing with almond extract, so I'm going to try that next with the cherries and the coconut. Then we're going to add our cherries and our coconut and our nuts. Alright, that looks pretty good just on its own. So then we're going to add our topping to our bars. And get every last bit. Then we're going to bake this for another 25 minutes. They smell amazing. So we have the classic lemon square, a maraschino cherry and coconut bar, and the classic chocolate chip cookie bar.
Sound good. They're all very good.
Thank you.
Cherry's the best though. Then the
Why is
lemon.
that? Why is that?
Is it the coconut and the cherries?
You like the flavor combination together.
Yeah. Lemon's is good as well. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone.